This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, Beans Army, to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the social media and sports podcast. Before we get started, I owe you all a story that we kind of ended on last week. And I'm going to open up with the story of how I almost lost my leg. So, those of you all who may or may not know, my full-time job is a FedEx courier. I've been at FedEx for about 10 years now. It's how I put myself through college. I even was working at FedEx while I was a sports writer at the Sentinel News to make a little extra money because we all know journalists don't make a lot of money, at least, especially starting out. So I was unloading cans that carry our packages off of a semi truck when my leg fell between the semi truck and the loading dock, and the can came back and just split it wide open.
Ugh.
Luckily, I was very fortunate because I didn't lose my leg. Obviously, that's main point number one.
Yeah.
But where the laceration happened, if it was a centimeter higher, it would have crushed my kneecap. If it was a centimeter lower, they would have had to do ligament repairs. So it sucked that it happened, but it was very, very fortunate where it happened. I feel like I just made that JHS fan club just very uncomfortable right now.
I'm just thinking about that. Oh God. I mean, what, Ronnie Lott, I believe it was, had like his ring finger amputated during an NFL game. So
Yeah,
playing hurt is just what we do, man. That's just what we do.
I've played games with the flu. I've played games with I played an AAU tournament with a broken hand. Now that was 100% my fault. I was playing a pickup game, got mad that I missed a shot, punched the goal, broke my hand, and then played the entire AAU tournament that weekend with lefty. So
How did you do that? Did you just like kind of shoot, kind of wimpy, but not really? Or
I'm ambidextrous.
oh, I didn't know that.
I'm ambidextrous. I'm obviously still more dominant shooting right-handed, but I can
Right.
shoot left-handed. So
Oh,
I also didn't shoot as much. I passed, played defense, rebounded, did more of that. So I kind of
yeah.
took the weekend off from trying to shoot a lot, but I did shoot several times and did
You just went Dennis Rodman on them.
pretty much. But I mean, I didn't go scoreless though. So that's one thing I will say.
Layups
So
exist.
yeah, layups exist. Oh no, I hit a couple jumpers too.
And you were like, I'm invincible. Ow, ow, my hand.
No, like left-handed, like opposite hand. My
So
coach is like every time like I went up for it, my coach is like, "What are you doing?" He's like, and then after the game, he's like, "Are you left-handed?" I was like, "No, I'm ambidextrous, but obviously more dominant right-handed, but I can shoot
sometimes
left-handed
I
too."
get old lefty a few shots.
Hey, I just wanted to do my Larry Bird game. When he got bored and just like decided to go lefty for a game. That's what I wanted to do.
You should have said, I'm not hurt. I'm just Larry Bird. That's all.
I feel like I might have gotten a little more scholarship opportunities if that was the case. That's what I should have told NFL. That's what I should have told college coaches. I'm the reincarnation of Larry Bird.
I am from French Lick in spirit.
I have never even been through. Actually, that's a lie. I have been to French Lick. Never mind.
So you've probably been to French Lick. You've at least gone to the casinos. I know you.
I've never been to the French Lick Casino.
Really, I have.
So the only reason I've been to French Lick is because my grandparents had a cabin in Lagodi, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
like we
For
used
sure.
to go through French Lick all the time. And we
Okay,
pretty much would view it as literally Larry Bird's hometown. So
right.
that's literally it's what it's famous to me for. Not even the casino. It's just Larry Bird's hometown.
It's a beautiful building if you ever get the chance to see it.
Oh, absolutely. It's actually I've seen the casino from the outside, just never been in.
Inside, it's even more like incredibly opulent. I love going there just for the architecture.
Oh yeah, I mean it's beautiful architecture there too. But
Speaking of gambling, Les, do we have any? Let's talk about some futures in the NFL.
yes, so while we finally get to the main topic of today's podcast, what we're going to talk about is the NFL offseason is officially here. And there's all kinds of rumors on social media of where certain players are going to go. So Matt and I have taken the best rumors that we've heard, and we're going to give our opinions, whether we like it or dislike it. So Matt, you ready to get started?
Yes, let's do this thing.
So honorable mention before we get into our top five, Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders. So McMuffin, what you got?
I understand this move, but I don't get why you would make this particular one. I could even justify a lot of moves to the AFC, even though it's by far the much, much tougher conference. But You get to play with Devontae Adams. You probably get to play with the franchise Josh Jacobs. You've got guys left and right. You've got Renfro. But I just don't get the appeal now, especially after what we saw last year, of going to the AFC West, which is by far, even without Aaron Rodgers, still the toughest division in football. And if you throw Aaron Rodgers in there, it's even tougher than it was last year. Because now you've got, hopefully, new look Russell Wilson with Sean Payton. You still got Justin Herbert and now Kellen Moore in Los Angeles. Kansas City's still there. We learned about Kansas City. They're still there. And
Y'all learned about Kansas City. I said they were still here, guys. Come on now.
Okay, whatever. Point being that even playing with Devontae Adams again, it's probably not worth the 6 absolutely brutal games you'll need to win the division. And then even if you win the division, if you don't win the division, end up a wild card, you're still gonna have to go to Jacksonville. You're gonna have to go to Buffalo. You're gonna have to go to the division rivals again. I get the move. I get the move. There's familiarity. There's an offensive coach. Vegas is a fun town, but I don't get it from a football standpoint. Just because that division is so loaded, and there's so many good quarterbacks, and we've seen that Josh McDaniels has been quite frankly prone to like blowing games in weird fashions. So I don't know if that's the perfect fit or not. I would not go to the Oakland Raiders, to the Las Vegas Raiders if I went to the AFC if I was Aaron Rodgers. I would much rather go to, and here's one of my honorable mentions, the New York Jets. Nathaniel Hackett's there. That's another familiarity. Yes, the division's tough, but Buffalo can't re-sign everybody. They're going to lose Matt Milano. They're going to lose somebody important off that defense. New England. Who's the QB? Is it Mac Jones? Is it Bailey Zappi? They're a good team. Don't get me wrong. Not nearly as good as one of those teams you're going to play in the AFC West.
Just if they figure out the quarterback position, right?
Yeah. Then you've got Miami. Tua Tagovailoa. I love the guy. I love Miami's receiving corps. Still really not proven. They did indeed make the playoffs with Skylar Thompson, and I will give them all the props in the world for that. But there's no guarantee. They say they're committed to Tua Tagovailoa. He could get another concussion at any second. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm really looking at the AFC, I'm looking at the Jets because they've got a guy I know. They've got decent weapons and can acquire more because it's New York. They've got an up-and-coming defense that's going to have a dominant defensive line. And the division just isn't as tough as it would be if you played in the AFC West.
Plus, imagine Aaron Rodgers with that New York media. That would be a field day like every Sunday.
It would be the gift that kept on giving.
Oh, 100%. And so I'm with you. Like this move does not intrigue me at all. It's only intriguing because of him potentially reuniting with Devontae Adams. But everything you just said, plus if you're a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback at the tail end of your career who wants to win as much games as possible before calling it quits, why on earth do you want to play for Josh McDaniels? I have absolutely no faith in him as a coach. And maybe that's the Colts fan in me because he just walked out on us. But no, I have no faith in Josh McDaniels. So don't like this move at all. Now let's get into the top 5 where we may or may not have some moves that we potentially like. So the first, kicking off our number 5 is Cam Jordan to the Bengals. McMuffin, what you got?
I like it, unless I'm going to give you my top 5 because I tried to parallel each other. So I'm going to talk about Cam Jordan. Then I'm going to give you who I would take here if I'm the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest, I do like the move. I don't know if it's the right position. Cam Jordan is a dominant defensive player, yes, but you've already got Trey Heinrichsen there. You've already got Hubbard. I think that would Cam Jordan is an improvement over both those guys. But you also have proven that you don't need Cam Jordan to be very successful on that defensive end position. What I would do, and here's my top 5 lesson, I'm going to get your thoughts on it here in a minute, is I would go after Javon Hargrave of the Eagles if I was the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the one player I think the Bengals missed most of all this year that nobody ever talked about was Larry Ogunjobi. A guy who can get that really good rush up the middle, stop the run, open up lanes for Heinrichsen, Hubbard, and whoever you have there to go. Now, am I saying he's the ultimate solution? No. What I'm saying is he fills that Ogunjobi-like niche that can help them get back to the Super Bowl because he can provide an anchor on that defensive line. Cam Jordan would be a good move. It would be a splashy move. It would be a great move. It would put fear in the hearts of every quarterback in the AFC North. But I don't know if he fills the entire need right there in the way of Javon Hargrave, or I don't think he's going to leave Washington, but even a Deron Payne would when it comes to just bull rushing up the middle, disrupting the entire offensive flow, and then leaving room for guys like Heinrichson to come around to get sacks. This is one where I think that we're close. We agree that the Bengals need some defensive line help. We agree
Mhm.
that. But I just think for the Bengals, getting an interior guy would be a little bit more of an edge than having another edge rusher, even a guy like Cam Jordan, who's a future Hall of Fame guy, an incredibly good player. And if he signs with the Bengals, I would be happy. But I'm just thinking from a football strategy standpoint, having another big body on that defensive line to just bull rush may be a little bit better for the Bengals going forward. And now, Les?
So I also like this move because he reunites with former Saint teammate Trey Hendrickson. And the big thing for me is DBs, Jesse Bates and Eli Apple hit free agency, and they have potentially young DBs replacing them. So my thing is, if you bring in Cam Jordan, let's double down on the pass rush. I mean, you can incorporate Sam Moneyman Hubbard and Joseph Asai, hook 'em horns, by the way, into that rotation and just have a really insane pass rush that Coach Lou could work with. Because what that's going to do is that's going to speed up the quarterback, make them uncomfortable, and it's going to give time for those young DBs to develop into what they are. So even though I'm not totally against what you're saying at all, I actually respect 100% what you're saying. But we've seen in recent years, like most recently the 2015 Broncos, how good a defense can be if you just double down on that pass rush. And being able to bring in Cam Jordan to that rotation and bringing him next to a guy that he has familiarity with, I think could be potentially really scary. That's my take on it.
I agree. I agree. I don't
So
think either one of us is wrong here. I'm just thinking we're telling the Bengals, you worked on the offensive line, go fix the defensive line, do this whole damn thing again.
I don't think there is really wrong answers. We're just giving our
Oh,
opinions on other people's predictions.
oh,
So
I've got one coming up where you're going to want to strangle me, but it's going to be great.
there has never been a moment in your life that I've ever wanted to strangle you. You are the nicest
Oh,
human being I have ever met, and I doubt
oh.
I'm going to shock the world and not want to strangle you. So
Okay.
number four, Jalen Ramsey to the Patriots. Matt, what you got?
I hate everything about this move. I hate it. I hate it. And it's not even because of football. I just don't think I could take Jalen Ramsey on the Patriots. That's all I have to
That's
say.
fair. That's
That's all I
fair.
have to say. There's no football reason for me to shoot this down. I just don't know if I can handle Jalen Ramsey on the
He
Patriots.
just doesn't want another talented player playing for the Patriots.
Exactly. It's
I
not
understand
fit.
that. That's the
It's
Colts fan
not
in us
fit.
talking. I love it. So, anyways, I agree with you from a fan perspective, but from a football perspective, this move makes all the sense in the world
Yeah.
because the Patriots have always had that staple cornerback one. They lost that when J.C. Jackson went to the Chargers, and Ramsey fits the mold perfectly of that physical cornerback that the Patriots usually build their defenses around. They have had it with Sante Samuel. They had it with Ty Law. I mean, Darrell Revis for a couple years, J.C. Jackson. But my biggest question about this move is how does Jalen Ramsey's personality clash with Bill Belichick? That is my number one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. But let's not forget, people felt the same way when he brought in Martellus Bennett, and look how well that worked out.
Yeah, that worked out. It either works really good or really bad. So does that
Yeah.
wrap up what we say about Jalen Ramsey to the Patriots?
That wraps up what we say about Jalen Ramsey to the Patriots. But Les, I'm going to hit you with another secondary move for my number 4 pick, and I'm going to see what you think. It's a guy you've mentioned already,
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Bates, hit free
Mm-hmm.
agency. You know where he should go, Les?
Where?
He should go to the Falcons. Because imagine that secondary with AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates.
That would be
It,
scary.
it would be a good place for him to grow as a player, work on his already building legend, I suppose. And the Falcons, the reason why we're justifying the Falcons is because they have money and their division is a complete mess.
Yeah.
A total, utter, and complete mess.
Not to
So
mention, before you continue, the Falcons got beat on so many deep balls this year. Jesse Bates helps with that.
that's exactly where I was going. That was one of their biggest Achilles heels. Was that even with AJ Terrell, a cornerback, they could not cover the middle of the field.
Mhm.
You get Jesse Bates in there on a decent deal and he plays up to the potential we've seen, that could transform that defense from being incredibly bad to middle of the pack to pretty good. And in
Mhm.
that division, you're not going to need much more than pretty good to win more than a few ball games. So
Right.
my number four move would be Jesse Bates to the Atlanta Falcons.
I like it. So are we on moving on to number 3?
Let's move on to number three.
Number 3, Derek Carr to the Jets. Now, Matt, I know you've already said that you want to see Aaron Rodgers in New York, but what would you think about this potential move?
I think it would be definitely interesting. I mean, Derek Carr is definitely more level headed or even keeled than Aaron Rodgers. The difference there is just talent. I'm not saying Derek Carr sucks. Derek Carr does not suck.
No, Derek
He's
Carr does
just
not
been,
suck.
he's just been given a bad reputation and a bad hand from weird coaching and just some of the weirdest luck in NFL history, just biting him in the ass constantly. So he doesn't suck. But he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Aaron Rodgers. The New York market will probably try to force you to make a bigger move. And in the long run, it feels weird to say that Derek Carr may be the more consistent guy than Aaron Rodgers because you know what you're going to get. Like I said, even keel. He may not be like Peyton Manning, but he's not going to go off into the darkness into a hole in the ground for 6 months and not talk to your team. So it's the price you pay for greatness, I suppose. But I could definitely see Derek Carr going to the Jets and having like instant success. Um, so like I said, the strength of the Jets is the fact they have cap space and they have a really good burgeoning defense. And those are two things that I don't think Derek Carr has had a lot of. He's had a lot of weapons. He's had a few good defensive players, but he hasn't had a lot of either in his career consistently when he was in Las Vegas, Oakland. So I could definitely see that being a good move. And like I said, that AFC West, blah, AFC East looks more wide open now than it did just even a year ago. So I have no problems with this move. I think Derek Carr is underrated, and I would love to see what he could do with a good offensive coordinator in Hackett and a good supportive head coach in uh, Mohamed Salah. Now the question with that is, like we said with Aaron Rodgers, the media will they eat him alive if he goes there after one bad game?
I don't
Because
think
you
they
know,
would eat him alive. I think they would have like an ultimate battle royale showdown clash every Sunday, is what I think would happen.
exactly. Because we all know Derek Carr's an emotional guy, and in New York, if you show any emotion, tough guy, eh? You get roughed up.
Yeah.
But other than that, the media is the only huge detractor I see for Derek Carr going to the Jets. I think it would be a solid move. I think it's just based on what do the Jets fans want? Do you take extreme talent over consistent talent, and can he handle the media?
That's a fair point. And actually, I thought you were still reverting back to Aaron Rodgers when we were talking about the media. But no, I agree with everything you said about Derek Carr and the New York media as well. But yeah, I want to touch on a couple things you said before I get into my points of what's appealing about this. Is you're absolutely right. Derek Carr got a bad rep, and I do in Las Vegas and Oakland from the beginning of his career. And I would go with Carr over Rodgers because I think he has more left in the tank than Rodgers does right now, as we've seen last year. But interesting fact about Derek Carr, he was the third ranked quarterback throwing under pressure according to PFF. So obviously gets a much worse rep than what he deserves. And
Yes,
of course, Zach Wilson may be the most valuable Cougar hunter, but he's not a starting quarterback.
he is not.
Um, and even though the Jets offensive line isn't great, last year it was ranked 5 spots ahead of the Raiders offensive line ranks according to Pro Football Focus. So that is an improvement in that area. Plus, you have good weapons and you have a good defense. The weapons, especially like a Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore. Plus, you have Michael Carter and Brees Hall in the backfield, and the Jets defense is pretty good. So again, I would go with Carr over Rodgers because I think he has more left in the tank. That's just my opinion. Can't wait to be wrong.
We'll just have to see where he goes. Unless we're going to continue with our theme of Derek Carr here because I'm going to say something that may be a little bit odd, but well, not odd. May catch a lot of people off guard, but I think would also be a good fit. Do you remember how I said that the NFC South was wide open?
Yes,
I think that Derek Carr would be a really good fit on the New Orleans Saints.
I agree, actually.
It would be a very similar situation to the what he went through in Vegas. I'm not going to lie. But the Saints were quarterback play away from winning a lot of games last year, and they have quite a few really good weapons. You've still got Kamara, you've got Chris Olave, you've got Michael Thomas, you've got Taysom Hill, whatever position he's playing that week.
Whatever he wants to.
You've got a lot of good offensive players playing in that position, playing at various positions. You've got a division that's wide open. You've got young receivers and veteran receivers, if Michael Thomas is healthy, to mix it up with. You've got an okay defense, assuming people stay, people go, who knows what's going to happen. You've still got Demario Davis. You've still got Marshawn Lattimore and Tyron Lue. You've got Tyron Lue, but Tyron Matthew, oh my God. The allergy brain is making me mix the sports together. It's like Ghostbusters. Um, you still got a bunch of good players. You still got some good players on that defense, and you've got a lot of offensive weapons in a wide open division. And that's what I'm looking at here. The NFC South, now that Tom Brady's gone, and even when Tom Brady was still there, it's such a vacuum that like there are going to be players swarming there because of like the money available. Now the problem with Derek Carr going to the Saints is I'm assuming he'll probably require enough money to the point where you're not going to be able to do much else free agency wise. But do you need to? Because you've already got a lot of good weapons. Like I said, you've got some good defensive pieces. Just see how having a real how if Derek Carr goes to the NFC South, he's already the best quarterback in that division, no question. So I mean, if he goes there to New Orleans, and has all those weapons, all those guys, and the Saints build their roster and try to get out of cap hell, like I said, moving Cam Jordan, for example, that could be a really good team. And I mean, they were already pretty good with Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions a game. If you put Derek Carr there, who's probably not going to throw 30 interceptions a game, that team is going to win. It's going to be the odds-on favorite in the NFC South, and maybe even win a playoff game or two. So if I'm Derek Carr, I'm going to go with my number 3 move here, Derek Carr to the New Orleans Saints.
I like it. Sticking with the trend of quarterbacks joining NFC South teams, my number 2 is Jimmy Garoppolo to the Panthers. McMuffin, what you got?
This is a weird one for me because I don't hate it, but I just don't know where. I mean, I get why you would go there. Like we said, it's a wide open division. They have a great coaching staff. And that's just not my bias toward Frank Reich coming out. He's built one hell of a staff out there. So I really don't know. I mean, I think it would be a good move. My question is like, is DJ Moore enough to entice you to go out there? You know, it just depends on who they bring in. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to wait a while to make his decision because he could go to the Jets, he could go to any of the places we mentioned to be pretty darn successful. But I think he's going to wait it out and see what the roster construction for a lot of these teams looks like. So I like that move. That Carolina is a good young team that was in a lot of games where they should not have been in last year. They've got a great offensive coach. They've got a great defensive coordinator. They've got a lot going for them. I can't lie. The only thing I'm worried about is will Jimmy Garoppolo want to go there? Because I need to really look at the Panthers roster, to be honest with you, because like I said, I know they've got DJ Moore, but who else would be on that offense that you wouldn't have to go out and sign for like a bunch of money? So Les, I'm gonna let you go over here for a minute and give me your rundown because I can't decide whether I like this move or love this move. So Les, give me your rundown.
I absolutely love this move because I think it makes all the sense in the world. Look, the 49ers have been looking to move on from Jimmy G for quite some time now. And even though Carolina is viewed as to be in a rebuild mode, it's not as bad of a situation as someone might think. They have a top 10 offensive line. They have a new head coach, which Matt and I know firsthand likes to run a run-heavy West Coast short pass offense, and that fits perfectly in the style of play that Jimmy G likes to play. What's up?
Is Chuba Hubbard still there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sold. Never mind. We're done.
Yep. It's not just Chuba Hubbard, but a guy that really came on strong at the end of last year, and a guy that I know all too well because he played for my Texas Longhorns, Deontay Foreman. And one of my favorite running backs to come out of Texas in the last several years. Of course, he's up there with Bijan Robinson and Jamal Charles and all them. Yeah, Need I say less? But yes, he's also got those young, talented receivers in DJ Moore, which DJ Moore and the type of routes that he runs, I think just fits perfectly with the types of throws that Jimmy G makes. And of course, when Jimmy G wants to play that you reach, I teach style of passing, he can hit Terrence Marshall on the deep ball. So Jimmy G also, he's a proven winner. before Brock Purdy came into the picture in San Francisco, the 49ers record when he played versus when he didn't was night and day. And I think he can step in and improve the Panthers from day one. And not to mention, if the Panthers don't view Jimmy G as a long-term option, he can still step in right away and improve them and then have them success for the time being while they draft a quarterback at that number 9 spot and give him time to develop. So this move to me makes all the sense in the world. And I hope it happens because it's my second favorite move on this list. But obviously, number 1 is on next.
All right, I know that. So, Les, are you ready to kill me? Because here we go.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna play a series of questions and answers, and I want you to tell me if I'm crazy or not. Les,
is this still on your number 2 question? Is this still on your number 2, or are we on to number 1?
Number 2. This is my number 2.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's going to happen, but I really want it to happen. All right, Les. Who did the Colts hire as their head coach?
Why? Oh, we just Shane Steichen.
Yeah. What team did Shane Steichen come from?
The Eagles.
What did the Eagles have that the Colts desperately wanted badly last year? What was the one big problem the Colts had outside of quarterback?
Receivers.
Well, not skill position. How about that?
Oh, our offensive line kind of went to pooey.
Yeah. Les, who? You know what the Eagles have?
Offensive line, the best offensive line in football.
And you know what? A couple of those guys are free agents.
That's true.
Mostly Isaac Samalo and Jason Kelsey. And I think that the Colts that Shane Steichen's gonna try to sign both of them. And we're gonna have that.
Here's my question there. What happens with Ryan Kelly? Because Ryan Kelly is one of the bright spots on our offensive line.
Here it comes.
Oh, Lord.
He gone. Because he's gonna be a Chicago Bear. He's gonna be part of a trade package. Because the Colts are going number 1. And they're getting Bryce freaking Young. They're going to have an offensive line with Ryman, Samalo, Kelsey, Nelson, who's got to have a rebound year, and then whoever else. They're going to draft Bryce Young, number 1 overall. They're actually going to go all in, Les. I really think this is finally the year where we actually see the chips move to the middle of the table. And I love Ryan Kelly. He's been a great story. He's a great player. But the Bears need just about everybody to play on that roster. So I'm sorry, Ryan Kelly. We're gonna move on from you. You're gonna be a Bear. You get to play with Justin Fields. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna have a good time. We're probably gonna have to throw in a receiver, maybe a couple tight ends. We've got plenty of tight ends. Give him Kylan Granson, Give him Mo Alley Cox. But
we're getting all our tight ends?
No.
Well, who else we got? If we give him Mo Alley Cox and Kylan Granson, who else we got? Oh, Jelani Woods, of course.
Exactly. We're not moving Jelani Woods. I'm not stupid, Les. Don't think
Jelani Woods. I say you and I both love Jelani Woods.
Jelani Woods is staying in Indianapolis, even if they trade him, because I'm going to sit in front of his house and be like, no, Jelani Woods.
You're not. You're going nowhere. No,
you are staying right here. I don't care if they traded you. You staying right here.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna show up to his house and be like, no.
Bean said no.
Bean says no.
But my number 2 prediction, or even if it's just a vague pipe dream, which I know it is that the Colts will raid the Eagles' offensive line for free agents and trade for the number 1 overall pick to bring in Bryce Young, who's been compared to a smaller Patrick Mahomes.
I haven't heard that comparison, but I do like Bryce Young a lot. So I would love that move, actually. And I like Ryan Kelly, not only as a player, but as a person. I've met him. Really cool guy.
Oh, cool.
Also, what was I just lost my train of thought. But I also want to point out, I want to point out that I only said receiver just because I was assuming what Matt was going to say, just given our narratives on the show, because Matt loves his receivers more so than I do. And because I'm actually one to say that I really like Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce.
Oh, I like Michael Pittman too.
Yeah. I think Alec Pierce is going to be really good too, personally.
The thing about Pierce and Pittman is we don't know how good they are because they haven't had a consistent quarterback. And there hasn't been offensive line play good enough to see what happens when they have time to actually run their routes.
Very good point. So we have about 10 minutes left. Let's get into the number 1 move. And it is Lamar Jackson to the Lions. McMuffin, what you got?
This move perplexes me in many ways. The Lions probably pulled off the move of the offseason by keeping Ben Johnson as their offensive coordinator because I think he's really the heart and soul of what made that Lions team so much fun. The Lions are a young up and coming team. They have all the weapons in the world. They've got a very good offensive line. They've got up and coming receivers. They've got good running backs. They've got the money. And the main question for me about this is, do you blow it up for Lamar Jackson? And what I mean by blow it up is Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff could not be more different in terms of quarterback play. We've got a guy, Jared Goff is all about passing. He's all about standing strong in the pocket. He's all about deep-ish balls. And Lamar Jackson, we know what Lamar Jackson is. He's an MVP caliber guy. He's won an MVP. He's been to the Pro Bowl multiple times, but he's a run first, bob in and out of the tackles kind of guy. And you wonder if it's worth trying to blowing up the chemistry that team has at the moment, all the momentum they've got to bring in a guy who's definitely a more talented player, but may not fit what they're doing in Detroit. Because you've got to adjust that, and we're not even taking the social factor into this of paying him a lot of money. Players naturally get jealous of that, especially guys who have been there longer. And they're like, "Oh man, we paid all this money to bring in this guy who runs all the time. We were doing fine enough with Jared, and Lamar misses a couple passes. They get kind of angry. The chemistry it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So this move perplexes me. I don't think it's a bad move, but I just don't know what the repercussions of it will be going forward.
I think Matt makes really good points, but at least from an on-paper standpoint, because that's all we have to go off of right now, because Matt and I don't know Lamar Jackson as a person. We don't know any of these guys as people. We're just, a podcast that talks about social media rumors in sports. So, but on paper, this move is not only perfect for Lamar, it's perfect for me as well, as the quote-unquote Lamar hater that you all think I am. And here's where I'm going to get into that. So here's why it's perfect for Lamar. Despite having a top 15 unit at every other position group, I always hear NFL fans and media pushing for Lamar to get a good receiving core. The Lions have everything he didn't have in Baltimore. They have receivers like Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have solid role guys like DJ Chark and Josh Reynolds, and a young talented guy in Jamison Williams. The Lions have a top 5 offensive line, which is even better than the one he had in Baltimore, which was still a really good offensive line. They have 2 good running backs in Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift in the backfield to not only run the ball, but work that read option that he loves so much. Jamal Williams and DJ Chark are free agents, but I expect Williams to resign. Chark would probably more than likely leave, though. But from a play style standpoint, I think it's perfect for him. Why it is perfect for me? Because if the same issues that have plagued Lamar continue to happen in Detroit, he'll officially be out of excuses. He now has his wide receivers. You can't use that excuse anymore. And if the stands do find an excuse, it'll be blaming that 32nd ranked defense. That's a problem he never had in Baltimore. So for them to pull that card will just show the absolute hypocrisy that comes from Lamar Jackson's stands. Because as you all know, or as you all they don't want to admit, is that I have nothing against Lamar Jackson, but I have everything against the Lamar stands. So this move on paper is perfect for Lamar to either change the narrative, or it's perfect for me to prove to you all why everything I've been saying about Lamar is correct.
I like how you made that all about yourself.
I did not make it all about me.
All right, Les, I'm going to keep this one short and simple because
we have 4 minutes left. That's why.
I really don't know why I feel compelled to do this, but I'm going to say that Lamar Jackson is going to be an Indianapolis Colt. I'm kidding. I just want to see if I could shock you for a minute.
No, I've heard that rumor, actually.
Okay. What I'm really going to say is I think Indianapolis. I think Lamar Jackson should be, if he's surely looking for money. Once again, a team I've talked about, the Atlanta Falcons. Once again, if you go, you're the
I
best.
love
You're
that
the
for
best,
nostalgic reasons. I love that for nostalgic reasons.
best quarterback in the division, regardless. If the Derek Carr thing doesn't happen. Best quarterback in the division. You've got Drake London. You've got Kyle Pitts. You've got a decent to middling offensive line. They have a high draft pick. You can get another weapon who's young. Unless I'm very intrigued to see what would happen if Lamar Jackson played with Cordell Patterson. It would just be a weird offensive scheme that I would absolutely eat every second of because it would just be so weird. Atlanta, of course, they have the money. They have the resources to bring in maybe somebody else if you have to. They've got, like I said, they've got Kyle Pitts, who's kind of disappeared, and we know Lamar Jackson loves tight ends, so it's a good fit to revitalize Kyle Pitts. You've got Drake London. Why not? I mean, if you're all about the money and you're tired of Baltimore, you might as well go to Atlanta and prove that you can build a program, not a program, build a culture of your own in a not as tough division. So that's what I would do. If I was Lamar Jackson, I'd take all the money in the world, go down to Atlanta, see if I could build myself a divisional dynasty with some of the young guys they've got and make my money. And just the idea of him playing with Cordell Patterson, churning it up kind of Wildcat style for all the yards in the world would be kind of fun too.
Not to mention, and I'm surprised you didn't go with this, but for nostalgic reasons, because the transcending run style quarterback
Yeah,
played for Atlanta, and then
I
you
was
have
going to
Lamar
say that,
Jackson, the
and when you
modern
said
day
it,
version of him, also playing in Atlanta. So that would be amazing for nostalgic purposes.
yeah,
So,
I was
anyways,
going to say that, but when you said it, it was like I'm going to let Les take it. So he has
fair
to
enough.
rebuttal.
Fair enough. Well, I say not really a rebuttal. I'm actually more or less supporting that idea. I think that would be a lot of fun as well. But anyways, that concludes the time we have on this episode of the Less is More Sports podcast. As always, tell us what you liked, what you didn't like in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channels. Follow our content on the social media platforms on Facebook and Twitter. And without further ado, McMuffin, Emperor Bean, and I are officially out. That was another fun episode.
It was.
I loved
Next week, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs?
Dinosaurs.
I'll have to wear my Jurassic Park shirt.
See, we're going to talk about dinosaurs.
I love dinosaurs. I don't like the idea of dinosaurs being created, but I feel like there's 6 movies that show otherwise. That's a terrible idea.
The top 5 favorite raptor moments.
Oh, I feel like 3 of them are going to involve Blue from Jurassic World, low key.
And the other 2 involve Vince Carter.
I see what you did there. I like it.
It's all coming together.
I like it. That officially is all the time we have for today. That concludes our weekly end of the show rambling moment.
Don't
we are
forget
out.
To roar, kids. Roar.
Roar. Bean
Roar.
has the best roar, low key.